That's more gooder. All right, and then I'll start the go live. Actually, do we have an intro? Do we have a? I guess I could just do my graphic.
Sure, yeah.
That works. Go live. I'll mute us. Now, I've had problems before where
Oh, I think my mic's on.
Well, good evening, everyone. Here it is on Monday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Luke Dorris. We have Katie Bird, one of our reporters here, and time right now is 7:48. So we wanted to start out this evening and discuss what happened with the flooding. And it was the second flash flood event that we've had in 2 weeks, and unfortunately, this one was tragic. A lady lost her life, 62-year-old woman in Overland Park, and a lot of us dealt with it in some way or another. So wanted to make ourselves available to you to ask questions. We do have our Facebook stream up. If you have comments or questions, we'll check those as we go throughout this. And just Katie's got some questions for us, and I'll explain on my end what we see, what happened, how all this comes together, and what could happen is there another risk? Do we need to be on alert? It's been twice in a week. So we just go through all that. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Thanks, Luke. I think my first question, a lot of people can't wrap their minds around how floodwaters can become so dangerous so quickly in these flash flooding situations. So could you just walk me through that first of all?
How it happens is a great question. Yeah. All right. So let me show you this. So I'll pop up my graphics. And essentially, this is what happens. You have to have heavy rain for some extended period of time. Now, today's rain was heavy enough. We got about 2 to 3 inches, 3 inches in Overland Park. We got that in about an hour, hour and a half. Quite often, it might be 6 hours where it's not that heavy. It's not 3 inches per hour, but it's an inch and a half per hour for 6 hours. And anyway, you get heavy rain for some extended period of time. That overwhelms the ground's ability to absorb it. So anywhere that happens, the ground just gets soaked up, and then it all has to run off. So whenever that happens, you get rapid rises in streams and normally dry areas. You got to think about like concrete and streets, especially in a metro area like Kansas City. That's not going to soak anything up. It's all got to go somewhere. All that water's got to go somewhere. So here's kind of another look at how it happens. So you've got an area, let's say Kansas City, and you've got a thunderstorm that is heavy. It's producing heavy rain. That one goes by, and then another one goes by, and then another one goes by. This is what we call training. So this is where storms set up like they're on a train track. And then you get lots of rain over some area. Now that area, it might seem small. You might say Overland Park is a small area, but that's still rather large for, a whole bunch of rain to collect over some big area. Then what happens is all of that has to drain out. Again, it's not going to, let me see if I can back this up for you. Get all that over this big area. And then it has to collect. And where does it collect? In our streams, our drainage systems. It goes off the streets, it goes down the hills, and it collects down here, which would be places like Indian Creek or Tomahawk Creek or any of our local waterways. And all of that gets focused into these streams, and that causes rapid rise. So, you take what ends up being the amount of water. A second here, I'll pull you back, Katie, and see if we answered that okay for you. So like the one that we had on Thursday of last week, We got the amount of water of Niagara Falls flowing for an entire day. We got that in about 12 hours. Just so imagine Niagara Falls over Kansas City for 12 hours. And then all of that gets funneled into our existing, Brush Creek, Indian Creek, places like that. What are they going to do? It's all going to go crazy. It's all going to rise. And that's how you get like 10 feet of rise in a short amount of time. Does that make sense?
Luke, thank you so much for that explainer. I know a lot of people, me including our community, are just curious as to more how this works. And so my next question is, were these expected or were these kind of a surprise, these flash floods today?
There was a chance for flooding. But the thing about extreme events, they are by nature hard to forecast because you don't see them. They're rare. And our computer models don't necessarily see them. So there is a limit to science here that played a role in some of what happened. Did any of our computer forecasts pick up on 3 inches of rain in an hour in Kansas City? No, they did not. Now, what also we did have is, hey, we're going to be watching some storms. They could be heavy. There's at least some flood risk. So Mike, Nico, he was on the 10 o'clock newscast on Sunday night, and he showed that scenario, the flood risk. And the flood risk was 15%, which doesn't mean a whole lot to a lot of us. Like 15% is not going to do it then, right?
Yep.
That's in weather, that is hey, this is pretty significant. There's a 15%. Imagine if you got on a boat and they said, there's a 15% chance your boat's going to sink. You going to get on it? It's
probably not.
It's probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
But in terms of high impact situations, 15% is rather high. So that's a level 2 out of 4. It's only 4 levels of flood risk. That was a level 2.
Okay.
So Mike was talking about that on Sunday night. So yes, we knew that there was a risk for flooding on Sunday night. Did that mean that we could say in Kansas City by 9 o'clock in the morning that's beyond the range of science? So there was no flood watch. So this was not over a big, broad area. This was very localized, very targeted, very focused, just over that very small area of Kansas City. So we saw the ingredients coming together. The real fine details like that, sometimes you don't see until they occur. And I can show you that too, and maybe I'll do that next, is like what actually happened. I can replay the radar and show you what happened and why we got so much rain.
Luke, thank you. So after one flash flood, what are the odds of another one happening soon after?
They're connected. That's a great question, because if you get a flash flood, the reason why there was a flash flood in the first place is because the ground got soaked up, right? So your sponge, that is the ground, can't take any more water. So you're vulnerable after that one. You're more vulnerable to the next round, so it takes much less rain. In fact, the last round that we had was about a foot of rain in spots, 9 to 11 inches in the general area where we saw it today. And that's what it took to get that, extreme level of flooding. Today was only 3 inches.
Oh.
It didn't take nearly as much today because the
Wow.
ground is already saturated.
Yep.
And it did fall very, very hard. I mean, this would have caused flooding regardless. If we hadn't had last Thursday's event, today would have looked drastically different.
Okay, so then for people, maybe they're on a walking trail like the victim was this morning, or maybe they're camping, what are some red flag situations that people should look out for in the chance of a flash flood?
Well, number one is know that streams, riverbeds, creeks, that's the most dangerous place to be whenever there's flash flooding. That's where all that we just showed you, like that map, that's where all the water's coming and it's funneling in there fast.
Yep.
So just know that you're in a dangerous zone, and if there's a flood watch, then beware. Like thinking about camping, a lot of us go camping, and if you're camping near a river or a stream, that's a danger zone. Or if you have a flood watch, maybe don't do that. The other thing is, if you're out for a walk, let's just say like it was today, the moving water, you cannot tell how powerful that water is. Don't try to cross it. Don't try to, just stay away. The amount of power in fast moving water is remarkable, and it can sweep you right off of your feet. It can carry cars away. Tremendous amount of force with that. The other thing is, if there is a flash flood warning, and you see that on your phone or you hear it on the TV or whatever, treat that like a tornado warning, especially if you're near one of these, sidewalks that are near the creeks, if you're near the creek period. That is a take action now. Flash flood warning is on near the same level as like a tornado warning. You have to evacuate up. Now, not everybody that's under that is necessarily going to see flash flooding in their spot, but if you're in one of those danger zones, especially, you have to treat it that way because that water can rise extremely quickly like it did this morning and catch people off guard. I mean,
wow.
It's not like it's a tsunami. I don't want to paint that picture.
Right.
But it is coming quickly and enough that, I mean, it happened today. As tragic as it is, it happened today where a lady was out just going for a walk, and she's lived in Kansas City, and we get rough weather, and it caught her off guard because it came up that fast.
Very
and you might be in a spot where you're walking, something happens, you try to go back, that area got flooded, you try to go through it, all kinds of different things can play out.
100%. So my next question is for drivers specifically. So if someone's behind the wheel and they notice water's rising, maybe they're near a stream or a riverbank, what should they do in a flash flooding situation?
Don't go into water in a car. Just like we were talking about with walking or anything, you cannot tell. And I've seen this so many times. If you're in the weather world and you watch weather videos, you get it happens all the time where there's flooding, and then people are like, my Jeep can go through that. I got a 4x4 pickup. It can go. It's like, no, it can't. It doesn't care if you got 6-wheel drive. That water will float your vehicle much quicker than what you think. Somewhere between a half a foot and a foot, depending on the height of your vehicle.
Oh, wow.
And the other thing is the power. It might not be that deep, but that force can be so strong on your tires and wheels that it could push you out. And a lot of people, flooding takes more lives than hurricanes, more than tornadoes. We hear so much about those events. You don't hear as much about flooding typically, unless, here recently we've had a lot of tragedy with it.
Wow.
But it does. And a lot of those lives lost were in vehicles. So, and at night too, things happen where people can't really see, because the other thing is just driving in it. If you're driving in flash flooding kind of rain where it's really heavy, some people drive off the road and then they end up in the body of water itself. That's happened multiple times. So,
Luke, thank you. All very important things to keep in mind, as the second flood did happen in the metro this week. And so I'm curious, have any viewers asked us questions?
Let's see. We don't have any viewer questions.
Okay.
Mary, hello. I will show you this, and I'll give you a forecast too, because Katie, there is another round of rain I'm watching that.
Okay.
So we've got some hazards this week. So let me show you on my end what we saw that happened this morning. And okay, so here's the heavy rain recap. All right, and Katie's going to join us again here in a little bit. She's got news headlines for you. She'll review what happened today, both with flooding and then other stories. But we had this cluster of storms. This was 3 o'clock this morning, and that moved from east to west. It did what we called back building. And watch as that moved toward our area, and then another one formed. So now Kansas City is in between two clusters of storms this morning. There's 7 o'clock. All right, now, while the first one never really passes over us, these two kind of like interact with each other. And watch what I mean. See how, there you go. They combine and they enhance right over Kansas City. And you see that real deep spot of red. I mean, that's tremendously heavy rain right over Overland Park and Leawood and just eastern Johnson County in general, around Olathe. And it stayed that way for about an hour to an hour and a half. And then lighter rain came over after that. So that's how today played out, as we had two clusters of storms that merged right on top of the metro on an area that had already been hit hard. And there you go, another round of flash flooding. So this evening, we do still have some rain in spots. So this is going to be wrapping up on us pretty quick. So there you go. It's diminishing as we speak. We're losing the heat of the day. We've got all this humidity and all this heat, although the clouds helped us tremendously today with the heat in Kansas City. That is making the atmosphere unstable, and it's just easy to spark off showers and thunderstorms. And we might have another round by tomorrow morning. So watch this. So there we go. We're quiet overnight. And then here comes something else by tomorrow morning. Now, it looks really isolated, but you see these little bright spots that show up largely north of Kansas City, but we get some downpours out there. And the message with that is you might see some rain in the morning in Kansas City. And if you did, it could be heavy. The better chance would be north And then the afternoon, our next thing is going to be the heat. And it's coming on strong tomorrow. 93, heat index 105 plus. So we have a first warn weather day on Tuesday because of the heat. Now that doesn't mean that that's the only concern this week. So let me show you this. So Tuesday through Thursday, all first warn weather days, they all have an extreme heat warning. I mean, here, let me show you what that looks like. Some of us are going to be going to Chiefs training camp, and the heat index 105 to 110, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here's a little brief break on Friday. Oh boy, cooling down to 97. And then the weekend comes and it's right back up there. Now there's no practice on Saturday, but 104, 105 as we go into the weekend. So that's concern number one. That's what's most urgent. Concern number two is, do we get more flooding? And we don't know that we will, but I just want you to know it's possible on Thursday night. So Thursday has a combo of hazards with it. And this is the thing. Today we had record levels of water in the air. How much water the air was holding from the ground to the top of the atmosphere in our area. And the more of that you have, the heavier your rain could be. And that, of course, contributed to the flash flooding that we had today. Thursday's going to do it again. We're going to have another round of record levels of water in the air, and that could bring more very heavy rain. Now, that's only one piece, one ingredient to the cake, but it is an important one. And it's one that has our attention. And given how vulnerable we are after all the recent heavy rain, we have to watch that. So here's today. The orange indicates very high to record levels of moisture in the air. That moves out. So Tuesday and Wednesday, there is a break from the flooding risk. Then we get into Thursday night and Friday morning, all the way into Friday morning, and you see that orange come back. So that's where heavy rain is possible and flooding is a concern. In fact, the National Weather Service does have us in a level 1 risk right now. So it's not that high. It's possible that we don't get that much rain, but if we have something to tap into all that moisture, I'm just thinking about like an analogy. If you've got a bunch of gas and there's no spark, nothing happens. But you get the spark, you get the gas together, and you got problems on your hands. Will there be a spark? There might be, which is why that risk is a level 1, not necessarily a level 2 or level 3. So just wanted you to see that. Let's get you set for, first off, let me show you this evening with our heat index. I mean, it's 97 right now in Garnett on the heat index, 75 in Kansas City. If you didn't get the rain today, you got the heat. I mean, it was scalding hot out there. So high temperatures tomorrow. Going to be about 93 in Kansas City, 97 in Ottawa, 97 in Paola, 97 in Lacine, 97 in Warrensburg, Harrisonville, 95 in St. Joe, 96 in Atchison. Here's your heat index. This is going to be specifically at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're running about 103, 104. So just know tomorrow, dangerously hot. Wednesday is going to be dangerously hot. This is the kind of heat that can land us in the hospital if we're not careful, if we don't take care of ourselves. So just, that's why we elevate the message, because heat is the number one weather-related killer, period, of all. I mean, more than floods, more than tornadoes and hurricanes and floods combined. Heat is really a dangerous thing, and, we deal with it. So we just get used to it. Just be smart. This isn't record levels of heat, but it is prolonged. It is intense. Then late in the week, there's Friday, and you see the temperatures come down by a little bit. It's not tremendous. If we look at, here, I'll pop Thursday out for you, and you can see the rain here on Thursday. That's what we've got. So it's not necessarily super widespread, but I do see heavy rain potential with that round on our Thursday night, maybe even into Friday morning. Then Friday, we're down to 90. Possible, again, morning showers, and could be another one late in the evening, too. The weekend comes back, 93, 95, 96. I mean, our hottest day is at the end of the forecast. And this may realistically last until the end of the month. So that's what we'll be watching. Just got to take care of ourselves, and we want to keep you ahead of all of this kind of messy weather that we've got this week. So that's the latest on my end. Katie's going to come back. She's going to join you again. She's got the stories of the day and what you need to know from the news end. It'll be in just a few moments. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the live desk. I'm Katie Bird. Flooding has impacted today people on both sides of the state line. First, I'm going to give you updates on the flash floods that took the life of one 62-year-old woman in Overland Park. Take a look at this video I'm pulling up on the screen now. You can see the water is rushing. This morning, Overland Park emergency crews were on the scene of a flash flood that turned deadly. Now, according to their fire department, crews were called to the Creekside Park Trail near West 155th Street in Knoll just after 11 a.m. this morning. Now, they first reported that a woman was just walking on the trail when flash flooding overwhelmed her, and she was then swept away by the powerful waters. Now, later on, the woman was confirmed to be a 62-year-old who frequented the trail, and family members told police that she left home this morning around 7:30 a.m., but they became concerned when they couldn't get a hold of her a few hours later. Now, this afternoon, the Overland Park Police Department did identify the woman as Anupama Vaida of Overland Park. She is the victim. Now, I do want to go ahead and take you to the next water rescue, this time on the Missouri side. Take a look at your screen here. The Kansas City Fire Department responded to a reported swift water rescue near 103rd and Warnell just before 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, upon arrivals, the crews found a woman about 50 to 75 yards off of the riverbank. She was grasping onto a tree in fast flowing water. Now, rescue crews moved quickly and used an inflatable rubber boat to navigate their way through the floodwater and retrieve the victim. Go ahead and take a look at this footage now of the water rescue. The woman was brought to shore. She was tired and shaken up, but fortunately, she was uninjured. She was evaluated on scene by the EMS crews there and refused further treatment or transport. And it is still unknown how the woman became trapped in the water at this time. Now, our Betsy Webster spoke with one of the first responders to learn more about what happened today. Take a listen in.
What happened today?
Today we got a call for a party trapped in the middle of Indian Creek, a woman hanging onto a tree, high water, flash flood environment, and we responded with rescue guys. We sent 3 crews with boats, and we're able to make the rescue.
How deep is it out there?
She seemed to be about 4 to 5 feet deep. She about neck level on her. She was pretty tall.
So, I mean, how rare is it that we see the waters rise this fast?
It seems more recently, a lot more than we used to. Indian Creek seems to be with the rains we had last week, and then again today, it came up pretty fast.
You know, it came up fast, and certainly this was deep, but I'm wondering what the risks are here in a more, that it's not always deep water that's the risk. Because we had this woman in Overland Park walking on a trail. The water rose quickly. The neighbor said, that's not a very deep area. It's a shallow creek. What are the risks, and when will you see them, and why are those the risks?
The water's tricky. People don't understand the force of nature. The weight behind water, it doesn't take very much. 2-3 inches of water can sweep you off your feet, as what happened in Overland Park. And it's just hard to overcome that force.
So, can you tell me?
Next, I'm playing again video of this afternoon's water rescue on the Missouri side. And if you're just now joining us, I'm going to go ahead and recap you the chain of events that led to this. Now, the Kansas City Fire Department reported to a swift water rescue near 103rd and Warnell just before 1 o'clock today. Now, when crews arrived, they saw a woman. You can see her here. She is latching on to a tree to avoid getting swept away by the powerful current of the water. And take a look at this Crews got right up there, paddling amid the very fast moving water. You can see the water is up to the woman's neck. In just a couple minutes, they did rescue her. They put her onto the inflatable rubber boat and paddled her to safety. Now, fortunately, this woman was tired and shaken up, but she was not injured. And she did refuse further treatment or transport, and it is unknown how the victim became trapped in the water. We do have about a minute left of this pretty incredible rescue effort here. Take a look as they paddle her off to shore. Again, this was near 103rd and Warnall just before 1 o'clock today. The Kansas City Fire Department did respond to a swift water rescue using an inflatable rubber boat to navigate their way through the floodwater and retrieve the victim. Thankfully, she left the scene uninjured. You can see, just dozens of personnel, responders there ready to make sure that she is okay. Now, next up, I'm going to play you some interview sound in just a second here. Now, next up, one Linwood family had a very close call today as their house caught on fire after it was struck by lightning. Our reporter Morgan Rydell was on the scene and spoke with a first responder. Give me just a second as I pull up this interview so we can learn the latest updates on this now.
Ensure that if they, think that their home's been struck by lightning, that they get up, they investigate that, even if it's in the middle of the night, making sure they have smoke detectors in their house to pick up on stuff like that, and not being afraid to call 911 anytime that they suspect their home may have got struck by lightning, because lightning can travel through the home in various ways. Doesn't always start a fire, but it can damage stuff inside. So just remaining vigilant.
Again, you just heard sound from the assistant chief who helped out after lightning caught a Linwood house on fire. Now, next up, I'm going to be giving you a couple of updates in weekend homicides as I pull up this footage now. Now, the Kansas City Police Department is investigating a Sunday morning crime scene after a man suffered gunshot wounds and was found inside of a South Kansas City apartment. I'm going to go ahead and give you a rundown of what we know so far. Now, even though the man was found bleeding inside of a residence, police believe that he was first shot on the street outside. Now, the officers were dispatched to 89th and Troost on a reported sound of shots call, and then while the officers were on their way to the area, another call for a man shot was reported at the Woodland Place apartment complex. Now, when officers arrived inside the unit, they found a man suffering from gunshot wounds. He was transported to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. Now, the victim has been identified earlier just today as 18-year-old Aaron Williams. Police are still investigating what led up to the shooting and who may have pulled the trigger. And now there is a $25,000 reward for information submitted anonymously to the TIPS hotline at 816-474-8477. Now, this is a reward leading to an arrest in the case. And next up, I'm going to be providing you with the latest updates as two victims of a double homicide just yesterday afternoon have been identified. I'm going to go ahead and pull up video from that scene at a convenience store right now. You're taking a look at the scene of a double homicide yesterday morning. Our reporter, Ryan Hennessy, was on the scene. I'm going to go ahead and give you a rundown of the latest on this investigation, along with the identification of both victims. Now, these victims were family members, and they were killed at a gas station shooting near Truman and Brooklyn. If you're just now joining us, officers were dispatched just after 1:15 p.m. to a convenience store, again at the intersection of Truman Road and Brooklyn Avenue. Now, when police officers arrived, they found 2 adult men inside of the business, unresponsive and suffering from gunshot wounds. Now, KCPD did say in a statement that officers immediately began to render medical aid until EMS personnel could respond to take over. EMS later pronounced both adult male victims deceased on the scene. Now, according to police, both victims were patrons of the gas stations. The victims were not employees, and there is also no indication that this was a robbery. Now, the KCPD Public Information Officer, Elena Gonzalez, said that they do not have any reason to believe that they're employees. They believe that they're patrons, again, of the business, and they do not have any preliminary information at this time as to what led up to the shooting. But it is important to note that an adult male suspect was taken into custody at the scene. Gonzalez later said that they do have a suspect in custody, and they're going to be interviewing him and trying to figure out what took place to lead up to this. You know, it's obviously extremely important, Gonzalez said, and obviously learning why this happened. The police are also not seeking additional suspects, and they don't believe that there is an ongoing threat to the public. Now, Gonzalez spoke to the press yesterday saying that 1 death weighs heavy and 2 are even heavier. We don't need that here. Gonzalez said that they want people to feel safe in Kansas City, and they want people to know that they can freely travel and walk around with their loved ones, whatever the case may be. And obviously, double homicide is not a way to make people feel safe. Now, I do want to now give the identity of both victims. They have been identified as 32-year-old Taylor D. Garrett and 35-year-old Byron Garrett. Again, they are family members. Now, next up, I want to take you now. There was a sad discovery at a Kansas City, Kansas park Sunday morning. I'm going to go ahead and pull up scene footage now. There was a drowning in Kansas City, Kansas just yesterday morning at a local lake. Give me just a second as I pull up this video now. There was a sad discovery at a Kansas City, Kansas park yesterday. On Sunday morning, emergency crews pulled a man's body from Big 11 Lake at around 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. That's at State Avenue and Waterway Drive. Now, Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office deputies arrived at the lake on reports of an unresponsive person in the water. Now, the Kansas Fire Department arrived shortly thereafter to help remove the body. A bystander did call 911 and said that he saw a body in the water face down. It was not moving. Now, the man's identity has not yet been made public, but he is described as a black man, likely in his 50s. Now, authorities are awaiting autopsy results for a cause of death, but you can see here multiple responders arrived on the scene. The Kansas Fire Department, along with the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office. You can see them responding with the crime scene taped off there. Now, next up, we're going to be pivoting as Chiefs training camp starts tomorrow. I want to go ahead and pull up a quick sound from head coach Andy Reid himself to just hear the excitement of training camp coming.
Now, this is the 15th year the Chiefs have chosen to kick off their season here in St. Joe, and this place holds a lot of pride in that.
If you think about it, over the last few years when they've gone to the Super Bowl and they've been very successful, it starts here, and we feel like we're very connected to it.
Let's face it, they're in the middle of a dynasty, right? And for us to be a small part of that and kind of be where the dynasty starts each year is special.
The draw of the Chiefs doesn't just pull fans from the surrounding area. Mayor Josendale says it has people from all over the world coming to St. Joe to see them in action.
It's a way to not only revive yourself for the football season, but it's to say, hey, these guys are real, and you get to be part of it.
It's an all-hands-on-deck situation to make the magic happen. Even the current student athletes at Missouri Western play a big part in it.
Our soccer team will be doing trash duty during camp. Our softball teams will be directing parking, and those are fundraisers for those teams. But it's a lot of work, but again, because of the amount of time that this is developed and grown, it doesn't feel like hard work.
All the fun at Missouri Western begins bright and early Tuesday morning. In St. Joe, Katie Marr, KCTV5 Sports.
It should be a great environment up here for learning and for conditioning with the heat that we're going to have, and we normally have up here. So it should get us ready and build a nice foundation for us to start the season. It should be a great environment up here for learning and for conditioning with the heat that we're going to have, and we normally have up here. So it should get us ready and build a nice foundation for us to start the season.
Now, next up, a local former Park Hill baseball player represented the Royals at the MLB's Features game. Our Mark Paulas takes us there now.
But if you fast forward to this past week, he was down at a big league ballpark after he was selected for one of the top honors any minor league baseball player can ever receive. It was a Sunday night before the All-Star break, and Carter Jensen called his mom and dad. He had good news to share as he was going to Atlanta to represent the Royals at Major League Baseball's Futures game.
It means the world. I always tell people it's just a surreal feeling. I have pictures of me at Kauffman Stadium when I was 2 years old. Like, this is the team that I grew up watching.
Now, Carter is one step away from making his Kauffman Stadium debut. He was called up to Omaha in late June and has been hitting the cover off the ball all season long.
We've always said every level he advances, he gets a little closer to home. So now he's only 2.5 hours north, and so it's an easy drive for us to go.
Jensen's parents say Carter knew he wanted to be a big leaguer when he was just 8 or 9 years old.
He was given a God-given ability to hit the baseball hard, and he, has worked really hard on improving his craft. So many people have dreams and aspirations and just don't ever make it. Like, it's so fun to see your son just excel and reach his dreams.
Jensen put on a show at the Futures game, with Baseball America saying he was the star of batting practice and showcased consistent, easy power.
He hit one over the chop house, and I kind of looked over like, oh, did you see that one? I'm still dad. I still got the phone. I still video, even though they've got all these big cameras.
This year or next, Jensen could make his major league debut for the Royals. His parents are glad their son is part of the hometown team.
I just know how the Royals organization brings up their players, men first, and that's a big goal for me, for my kids, is to just be good men.
Reporting in the Northland, Mark Paulos, KCTV5 Sports.
Now, next up, Kansas City Council members are calling for a request for proposals to build a temporary jail facility. Our reporter, Nija Hood, takes us there today.
The city is modeling its concept of a modular or trailer jail after a similar facility used in Greene County, Missouri. Some local organizers question if this approach is humane. The city is proposing building a 130-bed modular jail facility that could cost up to $30 million. The city manager has been directed to issue a request for qualifications and proposals and secure all necessary permits to reuse the property at the chosen site. One of the sites they are considering is the KC Tow Service lot on Front Street, although other areas across the city are also being explored. Some city leaders have made it clear they want to expedite the process, while some community members are urging officials to reconsider.
We can't come back here 2 months from now like we did this time and say, hey, maybe we should build this jail. The World Cup's coming whether we are ready for it or not, so we've got to get this built. The repurposing part is a huge piece of this. If we want to get it right, there's some really neat things we can do, but right now the conversation's got to be how are we going to have this open so we're prepared for a safe and successful World Cup.
We are seeing the rise of, the temperatures, so like the heat waves, and when it's like snowing outside, these don't insulate well. This will actually just be baking them or freezing them while they're in there, and that's just not a way for folks to, get help.
Coming up at 6, more on the questions city leaders hope an RFP will help to answer. In Kansas City, Nija Hood, KCTV5.
Next up, the Ted Lasso filming crew right here in the Metro dealt with a very unexpected change of plans today. Go ahead and take a look at your screen. The show's schedule called for crews to block off streets and shoot scenes at Kansas City's very own Country Club Plaza shopping and entertainment district this morning. Now, the crew and cast and even fans arrived as expected, but so did pouring rain, which was not a part of the plan. This video here on your screen shows the Ted Lasso production crew quickly packing up as rain, thunder, and lightning arrived. Now, they were out of the area before flash flooding impacted other locations in the Kansas City area. Now, news of the show's plans to film the 4th season of the popular show around Jason Sudeikis' hometown surfaced less than a month ago. Now, some fans even braved Monday's downpour in hopes of watching part of the production shoot. Let's listen in to one fan who spoke with KCTV earlier today on the excitement of Ted Lasso filming right here in the Metro.
Well, it's just kind of a nice energy. It's a nice energy to see something that's going on that's positive. But I didn't think it was coming to the plaza. It was the Ted Lasso show, which is be a lot of fun. That's a good show.
Now, of course, the famous Gates Barbecue on Main provided a backdrop for a scene over the weekend, and other landmarks across the city are also involved in the production. Filming is expected as well in Blue Springs later this week, so if you're a Ted Lasso super fan, go ahead and make your way out there, and maybe you'll even see some of the filming. Now, Lee's Summit may also be used if permits are approved. Now, it is important to know that the release date for season 4 has not yet been announced.
Established a lot of his career, a lot of his.
Now, going to your national headlines, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who co-starred on the classic sitcom The Cosby Show, has died. Now, Warner drowned in Costa Rica during a family vacation yesterday, Sunday, July 20th. Now, Costa Rican authorities say he was pulled into the ocean by a current while just swimming. Now, the New Jersey native who made his acting debut at the young age of 9 became a household name for his role as Bill Cosby's son, Theo Huxtable, from 1984 through 1992. Now, some of his other acting credits include roles on Malcolm and Eddie, Grownish, and the reboot of The Wonder Years. Now, not only was he an incredible actor, Warner was also involved with music, winning a Grammy back in 2015 for his song Jesus Children. Now, going next to another national headline here in just a second. The Pentagon has withdrawn 700 Marines from Los Angeles, California. Now, they ordered the U.S. Marines to leave Los Angeles on Monday, more than a month after President Donald Trump deployed them to the city against the objections of local leaders. You may remember this happened around the time of the No Kings protests just last month. The 700 Marines you can see here on the screen deployed June 9th on the 4th day of the protests in downtown LA over the administration's crackdown on immigration. Now, 4,000 National Guard soldiers were also deployed. Their presence in the city had been limited to 2 locations with federal buildings in Los Angeles, of course, including the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office and detention facility downtown. Now, during their deployment outside a federal complex in West LA, the Marines temporarily detained a man who said he was rushing to get a Veterans Affairs appointment. Now, the decision to pull back the Marines comes after the half of the National Guard troops were ordered to leave the city last week. The rest remain. Now, that is all I have for you now on the live desk for your local and national headlines. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you have been here since Luke's weather forecast earlier in the live update, or if you just now joined us, now don't go too far because you're going to be hearing some amazing Chiefs community feature stories right after we take a break. This has been Katie Bird on the live desk. Thank you so much for tuning in.